testing. Lots of testing. Had to go back to this format until I can learn how to manipulate the other one a little bit, utilize it. I don't even understand it all. So we'll do a pre-show. This is the pre-show here. Hey, kids. Hi. This is the Rants of Izzo show here on Spreely.com. All right. Just stretching our legs before the show. I found that I like to warm up with you guys. This is like cuddling before I stick it in you. That's all this really is. Mature audiences only, please. It's good to see Sarah Nichols over in the chat. Kate Bergner. April Schoen. Oh, April Schoen. Who else we got there? Bev? Kelly Wilson. There you go. Don't forget today. Got a lot of new things going on here today. Today's show is brought to you by the folks at Spreely.com. Look at this. This is Spreely.com. It's Spreely Media. It's a free speech place. So when you get your Twitter nuked, like I did again today, for like the 7th or 8th Twitter account I have, it's not going to happen at Twitter or at Spreely. Spreely is Speak Freely. If you go down to here, look at this. See, it's a Spreely social media page, right? And let's go look. What did I post today? I posted... Well, this one. Ha ha ha. Fuck you, Twitter X cunt. Spreely is the only true free speech platform. It's not going anywhere. I posted the other day, Haitians eat dogs and liberal men eat cock. Free speech forever, Spreely. It's still up. It's not going to be taken down. So it's free speech. All right, on the mature side, though, if you want some great content and you go to Spreely.com, look, you have videos here. Here's Eric from Report and Opine. Pete Santilli, he's back. It's kind of awesome to see him. Me, I want to see some of my police content. It's up here. It's up here. You got Shannon Joy's show. Let's take a look at this here. Look at political talk shows. Pete Santilli, Shannon Joy, Drew Berquist, Battleground, Wayne Dupree, Joe Messia. Wow. Evening Rants, The Right Side. There's a ton of people on that. Also, do not forget, today's show is also brought to you by FlexYourFeminine.com. If you go there, you can look at, that's our co-host, Kayla. Look at that. I am Kayla. I believe women shouldn't train and eat the same way. You can read for yourself. Oh, I'm blocking her view. Gents, you know what you're going to do with that. I won't pretend I haven't.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's Friday. We don't give a fuck.
You took too many B vitamins this morning.
I took one. No. I actually found my sweet spot for working out. And it's,
Did you? It's a good spot.
It's before the show. Like I was doing it in the mornings and then I would have to crash and shit. And you know what? We'll have a show and talk about that for a second because it's Friday and it's casual. No condoms. See you in a second.
Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on the show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
It was very...
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your hosts, Dominic Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
Rants of Izzo show. It's Friday, closing out the fucking week strong. It's Casual Friday. I just don't give a shit. The week is come and gone, and here we are. This is the only I know everybody out there keeps talking about they got their free speech radio media podcast network. No, we only do. It's Spreely.com. If you're not a part of it, we hope you join. It is Friday. I was going to say earlier I found my sweet spot. I was working out at getting up at 5, and I was trying to zen my morning in. And then at 6 a.m., I would jump in the shower because I like to shower before I work out because it wakes me up more. I have my coffee in there, and then I would go to the gym. And then when I get back at like 8:30, I got 8:30, between 8:30 and the show, noon, it's like, all right, I got some stuff to do. And then I start to just really drift off. And then I want to go at night because I'm like wide awake by then. But I'm like, no, I found the sweet spot. The sweet spot is at 10 a.m. because I really get into the groove about 10:30. I'm done at 11:15. And then by the time the show comes around, that pre-workout's still in my veins. And I'm like, let's go, motherfucker! So this is going to be a good show for all that. Hey, you have an announcement. Do you want to make the announcement that you just put on your Instagram the other day? Can we do that?
Oh, sorry. I was like, we're not planned on this show. What I put on my Instagram. Yeah. So very excited, very honored. I feel very special. I was accepted to become an executive contributor for Brains Magazine. Those of you who haven't heard of Brains Magazine, with a Z on the end. Okay. So it's kind of like for the millennial generation, probably. It's apparently one of the top 10 business magazines, online publications in the world. It's part of the group with Forbes and Inc. and all of that. So I'm going to be an executive contributor. I'll be writing articles, and I'm focused, of course, on my zone of genius, and my passion project is specifically health and wellness, women's fitness, holistic nutrition, and all of the bigger types of conversations that I'm having over on my Instagram content. It'll be more deep dive in the article format. So I'm really excited about that.
You're going to be in a good company with some liberals too on there.
Possibly. I mean, a lot of business owners, are a part of that network. So it's like 300,000 people per week, I guess, read the
Fanta is still around. There's a cola article. Fanta was in Beetlejuice. I didn't see the movie yet. Wow, I'm at Fanta.
I haven't.
That's incredible. Well, congratulations on that. It's not really like, okay, it's awesome, but does your family do this like mine does? I have had some great, really big achievements in my life. Becoming a police officer, owning a gym, getting a book published. Like I didn't self-publish a book; it was actually put through a publisher. Running for sheriff in the second largest county in the nation, and all that shit. And my family was never fucking excited me forever. They're like, yeah, and we know you do this kind of stuff. I'm like, what? Does your family, like when they look at your big achievements, they go, that's just Kayla, she does that shit? Or do they be like, yeah, we knew you could do it. Like you're the window licker of the family and we knew you could do this shit. It's like, maybe that's where my trauma stems from, my non-supportive fucking family.
No, they're very supportive. I mean, but I've also always kind of been I was always the overachiever, right? Like I graduated high school a year early and did my first year of college at the same time and started traveling for modeling at 16 and, always got pretty darn good grades. And, I was always that was just kind of me as like the overachiever. So with my career too, it's, I'm not saying that they're not supportive because they absolutely are. I don't feel not supported by them, but, they're not really on social media and stuff, which is where I do all my stuff. Obviously, like I'm here with you. It's online, it's social media, and they're not really part of that world. So I have to share everything that I want them to know about. And so a lot of the times it's sort of like they had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. And then when I announce something like this, because I sent them the information, it's like, oh my gosh, when did this happen? And when's your first article? And please send us each article because we're not going to see it online, that kind of thing. So
that's congratulations. Speaking of landmark events, let's talk about this. Some groundbreaking news out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Lesya, Leslie Vera, wanted to be a police officer for as long as she can remember. The 27-year-old was born in Mexico. She came to the United States at age 4, and she grew up in Minneapolis. She followed the path that many young citizens into taking the profession of a police officer, working in a civilian community, serving as a community service officer, while earning a law degree in criminal justice. But a big obstacle stood in her way. While Vera is a legal, permanent U.S. resident, she is not a citizen. But thanks to recent change in state law, Vera was finally able to walk across the stage Thursday evening at the Minneapolis Police Department's latest recruit graduation ceremony. Yeah, and Akran Muhammad sits among her classmates at the Minneapolis Police Department recruits graduation at a ceremony that the American Indian Center on September 6th was forced as another one, Somali, who are now appointed as police officers for the Minneapolis police.
And he's also not a citizen?
She, another female.
Oh, another female.
So we are actively making non-citizens police officers who have the ability to stop you, seize you, arrest you.
Do they, though? Do they really have that ability if they're females that are overweight, out of shape, and don't really train? Forget that for a second, because we talk about that all the time. I don't know how to process that as a United States citizen, and I'm all for legal immigration. And anybody who wants to become a citizen of this country, it's awesome. That shows your love for this country. You'll do things the right way. And it takes some time. I can't imagine going to another country and automatically becoming a citizen in their nation. But we have these men and women now who they have the righteous authority to seize you, Fourth Amendment, put you in handcuffs, detain you, restrict your movement, and, God forbid, use force necessary to end your life if they deem that it's warranted. I don't know how to process this shit and how Americans, aren't revolting, but how the police who are active on that department are not saying, no, this is not right. We will not tolerate this. We will not allow these people to work among us. I don't get this. This is insane. Yeah. Well, it's Minneapolis.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
That's Rashida Tlaib, Minnesota, Rashida Tlaib's state. Because Michigan.
I think so, yeah.
No, that's Ilhan Omar. Rashida Tlaib is Michigan. But still, it's the other one. So it's just Somali.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to process this.
No, it's all very systemically organized. Like this is not just an accident, you know. It's all very systemic. We've got mass illegal immigration of battle-aged men coming into our country from every other country that hates us. And yet we are putting people in positions of power and authority with a gun on their hip that can easily be overthrown and manipulated and controlled by this army that has invaded us. So really, like, these are the people that are going to be our first line of defense before the military arrives. Like these are the people. You're going to have an illegal immigrant who is not a citizen of this country swear an oath to the Constitution and expect them to give a shit.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Slap in the face. It's a joke for our Constitution when we do that. It's ironic that you say that. I want to play this video. I have not watched it myself yet, but I watched like the first 10 seconds and said, no, we need to have a conversation about this and watch this on the show. Let's watch this together because it pertains to what you said.
The video shows dozens of migrants pulling aside a razor wire fence.
Migrants running right past officers. Take a look. A group of 7 men emerged from the brush.
This isn't a joke. This isn't over embellished. The borders are wide open.
If you are smart enough, you would know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am.
They're printing legitimate passports out and handing them out to as many terrorists as they possibly can to get them into South Central America and have them funnel up through the southern border.
Venezuela.
There's no easy way to tell you this,
we found your daughter's body. An illegal immigrant that was a getaway from El Salvador raped her, strangled her. These murders are very horrendous.
I would say not only Al-Qaeda, ISIS-K type operatives, but you're also looking at state actors.
As long as that border is wide open and nobody in America is paying attention, why would they attack now? Why wouldn't they just keep, hey, let's train some more guys up, get them passports, have them infiltrate into the U.S. Going still good, get some more trained up, get them passports, get them in there. Get as many of these terrorists into the United States as we possibly can. And then, if they ever do actually secure that border, that's go time.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
You're looking at China, Russia, Iran.
There was a woman from Iran who was turned over to an intelligence specialist as a subject of interest.
This is a country with zero borders. They've already caught people.
All of these state actors have unconventional warfare mandate. I mean, look at what happened on October 7th. You know, that was horrorism. That was beyond terrorism.
9/11 was a $500,000 budget.
The attack in Russia at the theater, October 7 by Hamas in Israel. These are all local, distributed attacks of horrorism. You know, horrific attacks, not World Trade Center type things, but where we live, work, and play.
We could face a coordinated terrorist attack from elements among the millions who've entered this country illegally over the last 3 years. Is this fear justified?
I am worried about the possibility of a terrorist attack in the country after October 7th.
We can't be amateurish about it, and we can't be casual about it. We've got to train ourselves. We've got to be great communicators. We've got to be able to build these networks you were talking about.
This is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
In a different way. We are opening different conversations that have to do with national security.
Here's a, for those who can't see and read, and this is from Rep. Michael McCall. I want to thank Sean Ryan, who this is his show, Sean Ryan 762 on Twitter, for all the work he's done to bring the attention to the GWOT veterans in Afghanistan and to Afghanistan, for including the petition he started to urge to more attention to Ahmad Mossad Jr. and the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan fight for their people. My team and I have been in consistent communication with Mr. Mossad and his team at the NRF for many years. The Taliban's terrorist regime has destroyed any progress and made on human rights in Afghanistan, and I'm committed to opposing their rule and supporting of the will of the Afghan people. The NRF's mission is an honorable one, and Mr. Mossad will be featured in House Foreign GOP's report on our Afghan withdrawal investigation. It will be released on September 9th. I will once again be meeting with NRF representatives, including Mossad Jr. September 10th, and I look forward to hearing about his efforts to free his people from the Taliban. Veterans have done so much for our country, and they deserve to be listened by their elected leaders. I want to make sure that they know that now and always their voices will be heard by me.
You said something interesting on an episode of Sean Ryan that I saw a couple weeks ago.
What I've heard Sarah and others say.
Over 1,000 suicide bombers were sent by him alone, and the U.S. is dropping cash off at his house weekly.
Is that all indications are that they have trained heavily in close quarters battle, local distributed attacks, and that there's a very good chance that the next thing we see on the homeland could be an October 7 style house-to-house, restaurant to restaurant, synagogue to chapel kind of attack on a massive scale.
This evening, we are also following this new security warning right here in the U.S. from the FBI and Homeland Security, warning of potential threats to public gatherings, the timing of this, and why they're concerned tonight.
As I look back over my career in law enforcement, I would be hard-pressed to think of a time where so many threats to our public safety and national security were so elevated all at once.
What did the DC snipers do? I mean, think about that. You talk about a $500K budget. Like the DC snipers shot out of the back of a car and shut down the Beltway for weeks. Imagine the systemic paralysis that would result from an October 7 style attack across 6 cities at the same time.
I mean, we know what that looks like. You people better start paying attention to what is going on, because this shit is going to happen.
We're looking at an unprecedented level of collaboration between state and non-state actors.
These organizations are not competing against each other anymore. Now it's 21 terrorist organizations working together and training together in Afghanistan with one common goal, and that is us.
I have to wonder, when you have people who are coming here, what they're being told by their people. Is it, whatever, you got somebody who's going to bring over 1,000 people. All right, listen, we're going into America. Do your best to assimilate. You know, the American people they're giving us free stuff. Get good places. Stay in if they put you up in a hotel, make sure you keep it clean. You know, you're going to get free stuff for a while. Try to find a job. Or are they saying, hey, listen, we're going in this country and we're going to fucking take it over in 2 generations. We're going to overrun everything. I used to be kind of like, oh, not in my lifetime, this and that. Now I'm like, I don't trust any of these fucking people coming over.
No.
At all.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Dude.
And it's really sad because, you know, I'm sure some of them are completely innocent, and I say that loosely because they are illegally here still. So some of them are not necessarily a part of the bigger agenda, but they're part of the numbers that is pushing this agenda.
You can't say that anymore. You can't say not all. That preface.
I can say whatever I want.
No, not
it's
you.
Freely media.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not you. The people who have a counter argument to a problem, right? So if I say you know, law enforcement is rotten, the whole field, the orchard is rotten, it's no longer a few bad apples. Well, no, not all cops. No, the entity, the group, the ideology is fucked. If I say, you know, I don't want my soon to be 17-year-old niece who is white and 5 feet tall and 90 pounds to go by herself to ride the red line in Chicago because I don't trust the violence of the black community. Not all blacks. No, the idea and the culture of the blacks is fucked right now. If I don't want her around men because I know that men are scumbags and fucking eager to monopolize women and manipulate them. Well, no, not all. It's a not all comment that got us in this situation. Well, if we say out of 1,000 people crossing the border, there's 5 Haitians who aren't, well, they're not eating cats and they're not doing this. We base our tolerance around the exceptions, not the rule. And that's what gets us in this fuck situation.
Well, there's that perspective, and there's also I think we base our tolerance on the rule, and the exception continues to prove us wrong because the rule has been good men are not doing anything to stop the bad men. So the bad men are overrunning. Like what was Adam's sin? He did nothing. The original sin. Like he just stood there and participated, but he consented by inaction. That was his original sin, right? Where men are created to take action and take responsibility. So I think that our tolerance for the exception is because of the rule, that I believe that good, healthy masculinity is the rule, but men have forgotten what that's supposed to look like and what their role is. And they've been completely, emasculated in our culture for generations now. So this is why, because they don't want good men standing up against the bad men. It makes it much easier for the exception to overrun the rule. And here we are.
I played a video today of a little white kid getting the shit beat out of him on a bus by 3 black kids. And I put my perspective was, this isn't a black or white thing, because when you're that young, The kid had to be about, I don't know, less than 10 years old. It's not a race thing. The race thing comes from the people in the comments. What it is my generation. I was when I went into high school 5'3", 103 pounds, and I learned to fight when I got bullied and found out, oh my God, I'm really good at fighting and all this shit. And we didn't go and tell my mom, hey, I got the shit beat out of me, or I fought in school today. We didn't do that stuff. And my generation was kind of the beginning of the fathers just going, whatever. Not the fathers teaching people, males, to fight. So the problem that I presented was where we're at right now with these men who will not stand up to these illegal criminal invader terrorists. Is we have a group of men, they don't know how. Because
exactly, they don't. Because they don't even know how to stand up to women being hired for their jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
it's more than that. It's men who didn't know how to stand up to their wives. Because the comment section of my video is insane. All these women, oh my God, my heart breaks for this boy. My heart, I want to protect him. That's your fucking problem. Where were all the husbands? We always talk about the black community. We don't have fathers in there. Well, where's the husbands who live in the white community who tell their wives, do not baby our son after he got his ass kicked? It's my job to teach him to be a man, wipe the blood off his nose, get back in the fucking fight. And you've just had men who were emasculated and just shit. Then that's a sin of the father, not raising your kid the right way to be a man who's not going to do anything other than share memes now. That's where we're at.
Correct. And that is a huge that is a huge weakness I see in the Western church, the Christian community, is that religious circles already in the West attract more females than it does males, for many reasons. But we have the men who are involved in their own religious communities of Western Christianity are completely pussified. Mm-hmm. They're not taught, it's all this like tolerance and love, and there's very few people, like Pastor Mark Driscoll is one of the people I know of who's actually leading a church and really dedicated to investing his time in building up men. He literally always opens his men's services with, we're here building up men to protect women and children. Like, that is our role in life. So you don't hear people teaching that kind of stuff from scripture. You hear people teaching Jesus was like a well-manicured, feathered hair, peace, guy for peacetime, when he was a freaking carpenter, like construction worker. You know what I mean? So it's a cultural issue that stems back generations and generations and generations. And there's unique pockets of different things going on in the Black community, in the Asian community, in the Mexican community, and the white community is not absolved of responsibility. Like, we have not raised up men to preserve our country. We have not.
I want to see if I can still find it. I have one problem. I don't follow Driscoll that much. There's one thing that he said, I think I may have it saved from a while ago, that really ruffled my fucking feathers when it came down to him talking about men. Paraphrasing.
He ruffles feathers all the time.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but unless you're a man who is married with kids, in his eyes, you're not a man. And that kind of shit, it's just like, really? So I'm not a fucking man according to him, even though I can't find a single spot in the Bible where it says you're guaranteed a wife or children. That's something that bothered me.
No, and I've never heard him say that, but I would like to see the clip and see what the context was, because he definitely feels called to speak to men in order to rebuild our country and to spread the good news. You need to have men who are invested in legacy, and in order to build a legacy, like, sure, you can do business and stuff like that, but let's be real, like, bloodline is legacy. It's always been the case. So he does speak to like a certain demographic of men who are focused on building families, but he's definitely passionate about single men too, and I think he's probably well aware that Christ himself never had children.
Yeah, but that's an interesting. Yeah, you want to be Christ-like, be celibate, and fucking don't have kids.
Correct.
I'll have to look for that somewhere. Yes, I want to ask you about this, and it's a sensitive topic because it has to do with Jews, and I'm not asking you for your opinion on what's going on with Jews because I don't think that that's something you really comment on much. But when I have the Burn Pit Podcast boys on, we talk about there's some interesting historical things that I've been like looking at. It's like, and you can't ask questions without being called like a Nazi and this and that kind of shit. But it's like I heard this back in the early grammar school days I was in, that Hitler wasn't really the bad guy, and it's like, shut up, dude, you can't talk about that. We're in a Catholic grammar school. You can't say that. And then when YouTube first started to come out years ago, I remember seeing some content that I really didn't want to watch because I'm like, man, does the government watch my YouTube shit? So I didn't pay attention to that. But we were talking about how some, and again, this is just what I'm repeating. Apparently a lot of traditional Jewish teachings from the Talmud is a little bit indicative of elevating them and oppressing everybody else. And we were talking about
a little bit.
Okay. I didn't know if you have a view on this. So then if you're versed in this, here is my question that I brought up to them the other day, and I think you would be a little bit more versed in this. It seems, after I heard about a lot what Scott and Matt were talking about, that the Israel support that we as Christians just automatically give is doing what can't be done. We know that the end time, nobody knows the time, the hour of the day, but it's almost as if we keep pushing for Jewish support as if that's going to hurry Christ coming back. Are we doing something that shouldn't be done, which is supporting a satanic system, if you will? Okay, you got a smile on your face. Run with it. Does my question make sense?
Oh yeah. Totally.
All right.
It's a very difficult question. I can feel the tension in your question.
I can't phrase it right without saying, because I'm not at the point by saying, okay, the more information I see on Jews, it's like, yeah, okay. And I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm like, but okay. Yeah, all right. I wonder if 4 million people were really killed. Did Hitler was he really the bad guy we made him out to be? All that kind of stuff. Right. But on the other side of the coin is, I do know that, like, I have Muslim friends, and they are not radical as Muslim terrorists. They won't slit my throat if I don't bow down to their religion. I know that there's a lot of Jews who are like that as well, too. But those who are devout in their faith, are they ushering in the Antichrist? And are we helping them by being supportive of Israel? We're supporting a bunch of people who don't even believe that Christ is king.
Yeah, I mean, the Jews did kill Jesus via the Romans. So are we the Romans in this situation?
It seems like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a long conversation. And
we got 30 minutes.
I don't want to position myself as any kind of expert at all, not even close, not on the radar. But it's interesting to me. Truth is interesting to me, period. So I like to do research and follow rabbit holes and connect dots on a lot of different topics, as you know. This is one of them. And I'm not convinced that I have a really, really confident stance on a lot of details. What I do believe is that according to God's natural law, murder is wrong. And we're seeing a lot of murder in that region. We've seen a lot of murder involving the Jews for a long time, right? Murder is one of those things. It's a satanic regime's energy harvesting project. War is more than just a financial machine. It's a energy harvesting machine as well, blood sacrifice ritual. So we're seeing that take place at a larger spiritual principalities level over in the Middle East right now, as well as in Ukraine and Russia, in my perspective. I don't believe that the Jewish people are satanic and evil. I don't believe that the Palestinian people, the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, none of the people are complicit in the evil that is being perpetrated on them back and forth by their governments, aka the Zionist states that are being manipulated and controlled by the Luciferian cabal. That's what my perspective is. So I have seen a lot of information from Jewish rabbis, Orthodox Jews coming out that have been disowning the state of Israel because they don't believe that there is supposed to even be the nation state of Israel as it is recognized by the Rothschild Rockefellers or whoever it was that founded the nation state of Israel as we know it today and in a land grab. They believe that it's supposed to be God-given and God hasn't given it to them, right? God hasn't given them the promised land for whatever reason. And I'm not clear on all the details, like I said, but they're of the opinion that basically they are, as part of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, which you and I are most likely a part of as well. Like it's not limited to the land of the nation state of Israel as we see it today on the map. The scattered 12 tribes of Israel will be regathered at the time of Christ's return. It's my understanding. Okay. And I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of how they understand it. So for them, they don't agree with any of this, like, war back and forth and killing of each other. And they're not the ones that are believing that they are necessarily higher than the Goyim and that sort of thing. It's the Luciferians, and you can follow different bloodlines, Khazarian, Ashkenazi Jews, whatever. But they faked conversions throughout millennia to hide their true Luciferian agenda and regime that's been running behind the scenes in this world. So they've hidden behind the Vatican, behind Christianity, behind Judaism, to perpetuate horrendous crimes. And then the Jewish people get blamed, or the Christian people get blamed, right? And then we carry that cross for the rest of our lives. And, it's very convoluted. And when I say I'm interested in the truth, it's why I follow a lot of rabbit holes and then try to just practice discernment, have conversations. It's the only way that we're going to try to get a little bit closer to the truth and inch closer to it. But at the end of the day, none of us are going to have really clear pictures of the truth because the truth has been twisted throughout history, rewritten 100 million times by the victors. And the victors are not God's people yet. Right? So until God comes back and sets his people right, including the grafted in portion of his people, not just the quote unquote chosen people, which is another, I believe, psychological operation to divide and conquer, right? Like, oh, the Jews think that they're the chosen people and it's only the Jews that live in Israel or whatever. It's just another divide and conquer tactic to get people to hate each other. Yeah. Versus when you read scripture, it's like God grafted in the believers.
The more I'm looking at it, it kind of blows me away. It's like, why are we, what falsehood do we as Christians have that's like, oh yeah, we need to support a group of people who they do not believe that Jesus is God. They're going to convert. They're going to convert. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we're doing or why we're supporting them as hard as we are.
And the church in America, and this is one thing I don't think I agree with Mark Driscoll on, since we talked about him earlier, is he's very pro-Israel. Trump is very pro-Israel, right? Everybody's very pro-Israel. Like, this should kind of be a red flag almost, because it's not pro-Jewish people. It's pro the Zionist state of Israel. And the Zionist state of Israel is committing war crimes against humanity. They have been. And there's way too much on both sides of the aisle there, with ISIS and Hamas and the governments of different nation states that are the real perpetrators of crime and evil, not the people. The people are just suffering the consequences of the chess pieces being moved around on the board by Satan and his generals, because that's what's going on at a higher level right now. That's I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of my thought process.
Trying to wonder, man, if like friggin' you get so many of us who hashtag warrior for God. I'm a warrior. It's like he doesn't need you, but we're doing that. Are we like trying to make things speed up a process that isn't gonna be? Yeah, we have no power speeding up. It's I don't know. I think
it's also. I wonder if it's also just part of like God knew. You know, he's what do they call it? Is it the omniscient?
Omniscient, yeah.
So, okay. So he's omniscient. So he knows every single timeline possible, exactly what's going to happen, what could happen, past, present, future. You know, no limitations of time are on him. He knows everything, right? So it's kind of like, I don't doubt for 1 second that he knew what, why, when, how, who was going to be pulling strings during this age, and what the motives are. And we know that Satan's goal is to he's trying to bring about Armageddon, because for some reason he thinks he's going to be able to win, or at least cause damage, right? So everything about Satan's plan is causing damage to creation in order to cause damage to the creation's creator, and hurt God ultimately is his goal. So it's like, I don't doubt for 1 second that this is all part of what God knew was going to happen and plays into his plan in a certain way of his return. So what that means, I have no freaking idea, but I don't believe that this is outside of his sovereignty at all.
No, we just got, well, there's going to be wars and all that shit. I wonder if we're just going to be, they're starting with the cats, man. And they're not eating the cats. And yes, they're eating I saw, and they took it off Twitter. But we're talking about the Haitian voodoo stuff and how they sacrifice their blood sacrifices. And they're going to get you so tolerant. Until what happens until what happens in South Africa is happening here, and they're like, no, it's okay that they're crucifying your 11-year-old daughter to the table. They're gonna rape her, and if you don't want to watch, they'll slit your eyelids off so you're forced to watch. It's gonna happen here, and then your government's gonna go, it's okay. It's not all of them.
It's just freedom of religion.
Right.
Yeah, I know, and it's very. It's very. What's the word I'm looking for? Like deja vu, I guess. I'm having deja vu with no, you can't question the Haitians. Like, of course, you're crazy. Of course, they're not doing that. And what other people throughout history, including recently, are you just forbidden to have any questions about?
Jews.
Yeah.
You can't.
So, you know, when you're cock blocked from being able to question and use your rational mind to be like the Bereans, we are called in scripture, and ask questions, right? To try to understand something and seek the truth. That's a huge red flag. That's
I don't know.
I'm saying.
I don't know how you grew up, but you couldn't say Jew like if you called somebody a Jew when I was younger, that was as bad as using the N word with a hard R. You could not do it. And last year, after the October 7th attack, I watched Twitter just explode into what I saw was this anti-Semitic shit. And again, I don't like the way they presented it. So immediately I went into, I'm defending the Jews because I don't like the way that they were questioned. It's not that I don't like the questions, it's I don't like how they're questioned. And the more I'm listening to some of these people who are rational and sane, bring forth these arguments, and I'm going, wow, these are all questions we were not allowed to ask. These are positions we were not allowed to look at because you're a racist, you're an anti-Semite, you're anti-this, blah, blah. It's like, why can't I fucking ask questions? I don't like when one side is shielded from ever being put under the microscope. I don't like that at all. And that automatically makes me go, something else is up, and what are you hiding?
Right. Exactly. Because we all live in a world that is corrupt. So none of us are untouched by that. And just because the Jewish people have a history of being referred to as God's chosen people, right, doesn't mean that they've been untouched. Like, doesn't mean that they're perfect and infallible and we can't ask questions. Like, somehow they're more than human. Like, look at the history of the Jewish people and everything that they've been through and how God has reprimanded them and then brought them back into the fold to keep his promises over and over and over again. We can watch it throughout scripture and throughout history, and how much you trust those historical reports.
I don't even know anymore.
I
don't even know.
It's like, and I don't think that we have to, and that's why, like, when I talk about this kind of stuff, I hope everyone can hear my heart that I'm talking about it humbly and trying to talk about it respectfully, because I don't know. None of us know. We're just trying to have conversations and ask questions because it's not making sense. And we're supposed to be seeking the truth, right? So that's all. Like, it breaks my heart. All of it breaks my heart, because whether you're Jewish, whether you're Palestinian, whether you're Ukrainian, you're American, whatever, we are all living in a state of slavery and oppression under Satan's regime. And every country is owned by the demonic cabal. So the people are we're all in the same boat, kind of,
Are you seeing anything like kind of pivoting but still in the same topic with how easily distracted we are of shit? The Diddy, because you had your toe dipped in that world with celebrity and when you were in the modeling industry. Do you see this as the October surprises coming up, and out of nowhere they're going to say, well, yeah, Trump was at some of these Diddy orgies and shit like this? Or do you think that this is like Epstein was, Jewish controlled honeypot scam? Do you see that this timing of what he's going on is highly sus to our election timeline?
Yeah, well, not sus, more like suspect. Like, it was expected, right? Because it's an election year. Just like you can expect shootings during an election year. A lot of people expected the assassination attempts, like, I think that it's part of their game plan, part of their war manual, to make examples of their own. I think that Diddy's role, maybe he did something or would not do something that secured his safety for so long with this blackmail material. So now they're making an example of him because they needed someone to bring all of what we're about to see forward. Other side of the coin is a lot of people think that this is part of a whole, what's the word?
Disinformation.
Yeah, disinformation campaign. So, again, there's like multiple timelines playing out, and it's really impossible to be able to perfectly discern the truth from all the noise. But I think that
that's ultimately it, right there. You just said all the noise. That's like that kind of that brings my thought full circle. All the noise, and people like us who we know that the answer is not here, the answer is in paradise. It's like, how many people, because of all this nonstop noise, you're frustrated, you have nothing else, will you support a candidate? Will you support Jews? Will you support whatever? Because you think by you, meaning whoever's just throwing your support behind them, you are going to help usher in Christ is coming back. And we're all going to be rewarded because I'm so tired of all this noise. Are they doing that because pressure and the steam is going to blow out of the teapot, or the pressure cooker is going to blow up? Is that, I think it's starting to see, like, I'm seeing like flashes, like you go into a dark room, you got a flashlight and you got to hit it to work, and you get like a spark of light for a second. And you say, oh, that's where the light switch is, and you can't find it again. That's what I'm starting to see. It's like, man, all this shit seems planned to usher in this end times under false fucking pretenses. That's what it starts to seem like to me. That's why I'm wondering what your views are, because you're far more scripturally based than I am.
Well, and I think that's, I mean, I like how you described that. And I think like even things like Project Bluebeam are already being tested. They've been being tested throughout the world. And I think that that is something that could be used really easily to deceive the masses in a Christ figure return. I don't know. Like it's you're right. Like there's just so much going on for the focus of distraction. And I think that even if people aren't consciously, because I really don't believe that most people are conscious about any of this, let alone consciously agreeing to or consenting to, I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z to help usher in the Antichrist or whatever. But we have been psychologically manipulated by our governments and the control systems for so long that our subconscious minds and our nervous systems are like tapping out.
Yeah.
Tapping out.
It's overload. How many times have we talked about social media cleansing, like taking time off because of in your perspective changes after you see, whoa, I've been on social media and they're nonstop just fear porn, just jumping shit into my face. But the video we played in the beginning, it's like if I got off social media and I just operated on my day to day, I wouldn't know how many millions of illegals are flooding the country right now. And I'm 20 minutes from a city that's probably pretty saturated, and crime is not going to stay there. It's going to move out here. And what do I do when, I'm just sitting outside smoking a cigar at night and a group of 20 guys just start walking down the street casually, and I don't think anything of it. It's just guys taking a stroll. That's my fault then if, they swarm the house and I'm not defending it. This is just some very interesting fucking times. You're damned if you do with stress, and then you're damned if you don't from awareness. And I'm operating lately on this awareness of fight or flight. I'm ready for the fucking fight. I mean, there's a big part of me that hopes Harris gets elected so that she will continue to work for the people who are pulling her strings to just fuck this country up so we can go, all right, we're done. It's a complete revolution now. We're revolting. But again,
at the same time, like I just had a conversation about this with my mom and my sister. Like at the same time, again, like is the majority that I would like to believe in of men actually healthy enough in their masculine to be able to revolt? Or are we all so pussified and pacified with our bread and circus that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, like, because you saw it in how many of the mama bears, and I'm blaming the men for this one. All the drag show story hours that we saw for the last several years. Oh. How many mama bears are all online? Oh, don't you provoke the mama bear and I'll claw some throat. No, you won't. No, you won't. Because we saw cops fail where cops easily could have arrested every owner of any establishment that had drag show story hour because they could have said it's criminal, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Could have done it right there. Child endangerment. But we saw the cops fail that. Then we saw the parents fail to come out in mass numbers to swarm protest in the same way the liberal left does any of the bookstores or coffee houses that held these events. And you failed to have these men say, no, we're going down there right now. We're putting a stop to this, and kind of supporting their wives and saying, all right, listen, you say you're a mama bear online. Let's go fucking do this. So when it comes down time, no,
action.
I don't think that action is going to be had. I think that it's going to be a very select few, and they're going to be wiped off right away, and then you're going to be left over with people who fucking are easily pacified. It comes down to one big thing, which is, this is how I compare everything. And I will say this, and it's no disrespect to him. No disrespect to him. But I told him, I talked to Andy Frisella the other week, and after he apologized for saying things against the female police officers, I understood his reasoning. I listened to him. We had a phone conversation about it. I agree with it. But in the initial stages of him making a stance about female cops and walking it back, my first fucking thought was, is this somebody, and I don't know his faith, it seems to be a Christ follower. Some of the stuff I'm seeing him post. Okay. Is he somebody then, because he has never compromised on his principles before, he compromised on this. Will he take the mark if it's presented? That's the first place my fucking head went to. If we have people who, and again, I'm using him as a comparison because we have hundreds of thousands of people online, you know, the Molon Labe, the fucking snake on the yellow flag, come and take them. How many of them, when the police show up to your door, you'll turn over your guns? Or will you fight back? That's a standard that I don't like putting my mental scenario in it, but I do that all the time to myself. How full of shit are you? How full of shit are you? And I did that during the pandemic where people were like, hey, come on out to this place. And I'm like, I can't. As bad as I want to hang out, I'm not going to be the guy who you see wearing a mask just to get to the table. And then you take it, well, you were online saying you're never going to wear a mask. So I know, and I play the sickest fucking fantasies in my head. Like I've sit there and said, okay, they've got your 4-year-old niece on her knees and they're holding a serrated fucking rusty knife to her head. And they're saying, take the mark or we're going to cut her head fucking right off. And I know she's going to scream and I'm going to watch my sister in fucking emotional trauma pain because they're going to watch her. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, it's going to hurt for 30 seconds. I'll see you in paradise in a few minutes. It's like I put myself in those scenarios. What am I willing to do? But how many other people are like that? Because I'm not married. I don't have kids. I'm only responsible for me. So when it comes down to, we got a group of Somalis or Haitians that are in our town and they're eating cats and dogs. The media doesn't believe us. The government's saying we're shit. Trump and Vance are being sued. Where is that first kickoff of a town of, 100,000 people and 30 of them get together and say, fuck this. And they start taking justice in their own hands. And then where does the rest of America start falling into suit? I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't either. None of us do. But I think a lot of us are having these conversations at minimum in our own heads, you know? And I don't know if we're at the precipice yet.
You guys have had that. You have had to have that conversation, I'm sure, with your husband. Yeah, I'm sure 100% before you even got married, you have had to say, hey, listen, if you're not taking the mark, it's not going to happen.
Oh, no. And my husband and I we weren't married yet, but during 2020, you know, it was coming down to blows, you know, like he may have, it didn't end up going through, but the vaccine was trying to be mandated for his department. And he was one of the guys that was refusing masks. He was refusing to enforce mask wearing on the people. He was one of the few that was standing up for, I will never be vaccinated and I will, you will need to fire me before that happens. Like we would go hungry before that happens. So yeah, we've definitely had those conversations and that's, you know, aligned values. We're on the same page there of what we are willing to tolerate or compromise on and what will never happen. And, you know, we're coming to that era, I guess, you know, where it's just the world is never going to look the way that it was when we were growing up. And it's time to let go of that or make peace with the fact that that isn't going to be the future. And we have to create something that none of us have probably ever seen.
And we're
if it's possible, it's only possible with the help and the guidance of the Lord, you know?
We're so it's I use this analogy a lot. It's like if I take my finger and I point it at your shoulder and I just tap like this, and I keep going to your shoulder, you're going to be like, okay, after about 50 times, it's annoying, whatever. But if I take both of my hands and I start tapping all over your forehead, middle of your chest, shoulder, and then I start tapping my foot against your shin, all this, and I do it all over the place like you walk into a swarm of mosquitoes, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's sensory overload. That's what they're doing nonstop with these issues. Trump.
Correct.
Israel. Ukraine. Migrants. It's nonstop sensory overload, and it's hard to be focused when you're confused. They're doing a great fucking job. And then I wonder
the divide and conquer.
How many people are going, yes, we need Jesus to come back. So let's clearly support the Jews. Why are you supporting Israel? Because the Bible tells us so. Where?
Right.
Oh, it's fucked up, dude.
Nowhere in scripture does it say if you're being logically consistent, if you're being rational. Nowhere in scripture does it say that the nation state of Israel is what you're supposed to blindly support and you cannot question it. Nowhere.
Yeah, isn't that where we're supposed to discern?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
The discernment is a muscle that you need to train. It is not something that you just wake up with one day.
Yeah. It's a depressing show today.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good conversation. I think it's just, kind of, there's a conversation opportunity for us to kind of reorient to.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about the fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to add a third option, or an option that can coexist with fight or flight, is faith.
Yeah. Well, that would be a fourth one, because there's fight, flight, freeze or faith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't eat cats. I mean, that would be the fucking. Yeah, that was just fucking ridiculous. Faith, but then again, faith, proper faith, because how many people can weaponize that? Did you ever see Book of Enoch or Book of Eli with Denzel Washington? Yeah, it's a weapon.
Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God, kids, that's your Friday show. We ended on a downer. What are you gonna do? I have no control of the way shit goes. It just goes the way it goes. Sometimes I think this breeze is so. We need to add. I'm thinking, and it all depends upon the people who sit in with me, if we do 90 minutes, because everybody's been complaining that the shit flies way too fast lately. But then when you commit to 90 minutes, and I'm like, I only want to do an hour. So fucking no. I don't know. I'll give it some thought.
Who says we have to fill 90 minutes every week for?
No, you don't. You just have to have consistency. All right. FlexYourFeminine.com. Go check them out. Spreely.com. Brains Magazine. That's Brains with a Z. Mm-hmm. Kayla's going to be a new contributor for there. So let's show some mother effing support. Go follow Flex Your Feminine over on Instagram. And there you go. Have a great damn day. Just use your brain. Use your brain. That's all I got to say. Go help somebody today. And if you can't help them, do not hurt them. See you guys Monday.